Fuses, highs and capture rising. Where's Abdullah? He's been hiding. Hijacking straight surprises. Flying down, blowing up high rises. 500 soldiers in disguises. Hope I can make it out with my life as fugitive hunter.
Possessed with the quest, bulletproof vest, shot to the chest, the rest, only the blessed, stress.
Fuses, highs and capture rising. Where's Abdullah? He's been hiding. Hijacking straight surprises. Flying down, blowing up high rises. 500 soldiers in disguises. Hope I can make it out with my life as fugitive hunter. Fugitive hunter.
Possessed with the quest, bulletproof vest, shot to the chest, the rest, only the blessed, stress, the mess, until it's time to leave the nest. All in your own in a new song, watch jump skills sprinkle like the dome. Who must it be? You ready for path, spiritual being. Lead to the circle of a roller ring, they blink, here, take a drink. Sicker to the clink of the clamp line from the map, can't see the hand fingers on there. Got to move down, never let the wind stroking in the pimp in the middle of this fugitive style.
Hold up, homie, he's looking at me. I see the camera, flowing like the camera. Start the lyrically, kicking stamina. If you wanna get it, don't quit it, spit it. If you wanna spit it like I lay it thicker than hunts catch up. You just got snatched up, this lyrics you can't match up. So back up. Never seen no hip popping, never seen the like tick-tocking. Every time he's shocking, if we start straight like stopping, cause they never seen nobody start to rapping and popping at the same time. Wanna rhyme, hold on, got the incline, roll on. When I find who I am, this ain't no scam, cause I'ma lyrically kick this jam. What's up, man? Smoking cancer sticks. Every day you get a nicotine bit, got to take a hit. On the ball, my bit, flick, flick, what's the sound of that? Cause you really couldn't quit. Think your ass is Superman, now you cool and clean. I see your ass failed on the lung machine. About 50 years old, talk about I should've left a long time ago. I don't even know what the fuck is. I'm ready up. Got this Yo. I'ma show you how we do it. Monty, if you wanna get it, then you really couldn't get with me. But I'ma show you the trickery. And if I really don't know you, I'ma make you see reality. And what it has to be is the stallion. Thinking I'm white, I'm black, Mexican, Italian. I'ma be the valiant, all up on the floor. They call me Clear Black from a long time ago. Like my face, it ain't about my race, it's about that taste. Hold on, homie, I'm about to plead my case. The minute that I get up here, straight in a hurry, I'm about to show you that I ain't got no jury. I'm Fist of Furry, you probably get ate up like curry without the rice. Roll you like some dice, like some mice getting caught in the trap. Freestyle rap and bring it on back, and we gon' see who is who in this map. You see I look up when I joke up. Anybody thinking that they quote up, use a rope up. I don't wanna hear you sit right now. Use a write up, wanna bite up everything in the salad that I'm throwing in. But then again, you probably can't kick it in. You thinking that you're gonna win, walking out the home spot with your chin. Damn, let me tell you something, my man. There's nothing worse than a person that this person think he here. Cause when he fall past this, he gonna wish he had this back, and that's clear. And here's the fact that I'm telling about this atmosphere. If you can't hit the gas, round shit your gear, you ain't even driving, you ain't even coming with the real live, and that's why you dive in where you can't swim. Think about that shit again. Mystery, looking and gliding, crying, just to get you, start dying. When I hit you, you crying on your last breath, cause I'ma put you to the test. And when I get you, nevertheless, I'ma hit you with the stress. I'ma been Laden, where you been hiding, knowing damn well I'll be gliding. Never seen me like that riding, this is how I'm doing. Everybody ain't about to straight up ruin. Caught up in the pain of the video game every time I take you through it. Might well be. You can't quit, you can't see what you really wanna be playing, saying everything you betraying. Got to swing when you gotta bring things straight to the skills. Ain't got it down pat, you ain't about to do anything that you will. This is what we coming through, cause I'ma show you how to kill with that paddle in your hand. Give back, you can understand better. See, we take it back when you're really trying to be the man. Here's the attack. I'ma show you how I've been riding, looking for Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden, where you been hiding? Knowing damn well I've been riding. Osama bin Laden, where you been hiding? Knowing damn well I've been riding, looking for you. This is what we do. Better get a clue. You're coming for me, then I'm coming for you. Fugitive hunter. Coming for me, coming for you. Fugitive hunter. Coming for me, coming for you. Fugitive hunter.
This week we're working with Black Ops Entertainment and Smash Cut to do some wire work. Big-time stunts for the new game, Fugitive Hunter.
Our company is basically hired to come in and help put together some action sequences, fighting, reactions to explosions, moves for takedowns and things like that.
We shot about 2 years ago. We did a pretty big mocap, a lot of experimentation with all our wires, all the flyings, all the reactions, explosions and stuff. And now, 2 years later, we've come back to kind of fill in all the gaps in the game and give a little bit more variety and some more variations in some of our wire stuff. We brought in a twisting belt, a rotational belt. It allows us to travel on all three axes, to flip side to side and to twist. I think we're some of the first people to use that, so that'll be kind of neat on the game.
So as the player goes through the levels, they won't just see the same animation over and over and over again. What you'll get is a massive diversity and variety of shots. It's been an exciting process to see it, 2 years ago when we had no game, starting the motion capture in, the end of 2000, and then now here it is in October, the end of October in 2002, and we're coming back and doing a whole nother shoot to fill in the rest of the game.
Most of the stunt team we've used for this game, as well as the original, are the guys are all from the Matrix stunt team. They're all martial art or wire experts that have come in and helped us out today, both pull, rig the wires, and perform in them. The guys have all worked on, Charlie's Angels, Charlie's Angels 2, two of the Matrixes, Matrix 2 and Matrix 3 that are coming out. Most of the martial law series, just about any of the martial art shows, we pretty much recruit from those.
At the dawn of
Hi, this is John Body. I'm a producer on the game Fugitive Hunter.
And sitting next to him here is Will Body. I'm the technical director and one of the lead programmers on the game.
The voice you're hearing is Will Lyman. He's a very famous narrator for TV and a lot of sort of historical present TV shows that you see about different terrorist groups and global political situations, things like that.
It was interesting during development how much current events kind of caught up, unfortunately, to the design of our game. Even the creation of Cypher kind of closely mimicked the creation of the Homeland Security Department, but we were there a year or two ahead of them.
A lot of people ask me if that's real. Hey, is that real, Cypher? And Will Lyman really sells that. That's why we chose him for the historical present genre, but no, it's not real, actually. This is Jake Seaver. That's actually the Bat Cave up in the Bronson Caves. This is some stock footage we got from ABC News talking about the covert mission that was launched in 1999. And in the beginning of the game, we drop you into Afghanistan on the hunt. So we're going to actually play through the game and talk about how we made it. Here we go, we're loading up the game. This is, again, a segue from that Will Lyman piece that we saw.
And we basically start the player in Afghanistan after he's shot down here by forces sympathetic to Osama bin Laden.
Those are real Marines, actually. One was a communications officer we hired to get some kind of real dialogue that we were doing. How troops would communicate to their helicopters and back and forth. We recorded Arabic and different languages for the game as well.
We chose to have these intro pieces to be short, less than 30 seconds, just so that we would keep the player involved in the game and not having them wait through lots of non-interactive sequences. So we drop you right in after a brief intro.
And your weapons are scattered around the area, so your first thing you have to do is go and pick up all the weapons.
John, that's one of my favorite things actually about this mission is this design of this little intro area. Because it's fun. I mean, you just started the game and now here you are picking up...
There's a grenade launcher.
You're picking up a bunch of the cooler weapons, and this is only one quick mission you'll get to use them, but it's nice to introduce the player to some of the meat of the game right up front and keep them hooked.
Exactly. I don't really like games where I have to wander around for 3 levels with my pistol. It's kind of, I don't know, boring. We also wanted to open up the audience to kind of a more mass market. Somebody can just pick it up and go without having to play through 50 levels to get the best weapons. So we justified by knocking the helicopter out of the sky and scattering the weapons about.
The explosions in the game are pretty cool. I think they make really good use of the particle effects and also the high frame.
Oh, look at that blood!
The high frame transfer, VRAM transfer that the PlayStation 2 allows you to have. It's one of the fastest drawing machines on the market, and that's good. You can take advantage of that with those nice particle effects.
I love the scopes we can put on different weapons. You can put a scope on a grenade launcher. It really helps in gameplay, especially when you get into the later levels.
A lot of these scopes were designed after real-life scopes like the ACOG, but we also took some liberties. Of course, one of our chief weapon designers, actually the guy, Jay Cotton, who designed all these weapons, is an extremely thorough weapon designer, and he really made sure that things made sense, and all the weapons actually do make sense and have some justification for functioning in the way they do.
Yeah, a lot of his sketches are brilliant, just amazing gun designer. These characters actually are Al-Qaeda style soldiers dressed in the sort of camo and the saris and the headdress, the typical sort of Afghan Pakistani garb for the Taliban and Al-Qaeda.
It's interesting on the HUD design that we chose here. We wanted to keep it minimalist to keep the action very visible on screen. I personally don't like games where the view of the player is so cluttered with instrument gauges that you forget that you're playing a game that has real-time 3D graphics.
Yeah, so he says, Shufu Americani, it means, look, American. Jesus. I love those explosions. Those are done by Chad and his smash cut guys. Oh, there he is. There's Bin Laden himself. So we introduced the player to the concept of capturing fugitives alive. So this first level was kind of an idea to just drop you in, give you the gameplay of the guns and everything, but also show you about the mini fighting game.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite parts of the game, is right after you finish this quick intro level, you get to play this little fighting mini game, and this introduces the player to the capture mechanic. We tested this heavily. I'd say we probably tested that one feature for about a year, getting it right.
Fox 1, this is Sierra 5. I've cleared the area.
So now he's out of the mission, and he's the sole survivor. So this is kind of the character's ghost, if you will, in screenplays and movies. They have something called the ghost, something that haunts the character throughout the loss of his buddies in his helicopter.
Once Jake Seaver returns to the States, after a while he can't resist the itch to get back into law enforcement and kind of doing justice and doing right, so he gets involved with Cypher after his little tour of duty in the teams.
He's doing domestic bounty hunting for a contract for pay, basically, and he's right now he's in the hood in Miami. A lot of these textures and the pictures on the wall, like that garage door you see, and some of the graffiti, some of it was painted, but a lot of the woods and stone and things like that, rundown metal, a lot of that stuff was photographed by myself and some of our photographers at the office that were able to go to downtown LA and different downtown cities to get the look and feel of kind of a gritty inner city downtown environment.
We're going to segue from that little area to Miami City, inner city, and in here it's kind of a continuation of that introduction, but there's more vertical gameplay in this area. This series of levels in Miami is one of my favorite in the whole game, and it shows in terms of the player path and the things that you get to do. It's actually, a lot of people comment that the level seems really big. It's actually one of the smaller levels in the game, but because of the design, it really feels big, and you really feel like you've got a lot of things to do.
Yeah, we worked on this for a while. Look, he's shooting homing grenades right there. I like that. You can see with the green trail, those homing grenades will just home right in on your enemy. The double barrel is also one of my personal favorites. Very powerful, quick reload.
The player can climb and jump, of course, like in most shooters. Here, Jake Seaver's just climbed up onto the top of this warehouse roof, and he's gonna get into the warehouse and prepare to apprehend Casey Weber.
There he is, Casey Weber. That's actually Big Will at Black Ops. He's our system administrator.
Hell of a basketball player too, I have to say.
Yeah, really big, 300-pound, very strong basketball player. You want him down in the post.
In this level, it's kind of interesting. It's one of the smaller levels in the game, but it has some good vertical gameplay and a lot of surprises around a lot of these corners.
I love that 720 twist. That's just, we took a lot of stunts from the movies, obviously, and we had a really good stuntman, like I said, from Smash Cut, Chad and Dave Leach and all those guys. Did a great job, a lot of wire stuff. There's Big Will getting captured. Now this is Charles Marcus. He's out in Utah. He's basically a hitman that you're chasing that's working in conjunction with the Patriots militia group.
This level is another one of my favorite levels. It actually started out as one of the kind of the least playable levels in the beginning, and it really taught us. Yeah, it really taught us a lot about the design process because we had this big open bowl, and then eventually we turned it into a really fun level. But it was a learning process, and I'm really happy with how it came out. It's very engaging and it's visually pretty stunning. People usually react well to when they see the art in the level.
So there's jumping puzzles throughout the game too. Not too much. It's not like a jumping game, but it does make it a little fun and sometimes frustrating actually.
There you just have to crawl through that little area. So there's enough use of it to make you navigate around the map, but we don't want to make it frustrating. On the other hand,
there's Lucas Aker actually, and one of the fugitives we had researched was actually Eric Rudolph, and he was kind of a militia, ex-army guy. That's why you see guys in this area, they're not running around like gang members, they're doing CQB or close quarter battle maneuvers, the way they walk, the way they corner, things like that.
Yeah, for those of you who don't remember, Eric Rudolph was implicated in the Atlanta bombing back in '96, and also some domestic bombings of clinics and other stuff. So we patterned one of our fugitives after him. And in fact, that brings up another point when people usually ask, were the fugitives all modeled after real people? And we kind of went half and half. Some were modeled directly, others were fictitious. Armando Rojas is a fictitious narcotics trafficker in the Caribbean.
He's actually played by my father, Carl Botti, who's a retired math teacher in Long Island.
I think his students will get a kick out of this when they get to apprehend him and capture him and kick the crap out of him.
I love that. Look, he's got the scope on the pistol, and he also equipped it with a silencer. So you can actually go around and play very stealthily if you want by outfitting silencers onto the different weapons, or you can just go with a full-on assault rifle or big guns. There's Dad.
Yeah, we're going through the ruins. We're down in the Caribbean, and there's some ancient Indian ruins here that you're going to be fighting through. And the drug traffickers have moved in, and these guys are merciless. I mean, there's just an army of these guys, and they're that they work for the Perez cartel.
There's the TV grenade. We wanted to pay homage, to the. Actually Gulf War I, because a lot of the footage was really over that TV guided missile kind of camera footage, and it's a great weapon like here to take out those turrets, which are really nasty. You can use that TV guided missile. There's Eduardo Perez. He's played by Jose Villeta's brother. Jose Villeta is a partner at Black Ops, and he's one of the founders and runs a lot of the projects there. His brother Carlos Villeta plays Eduardo Perez because he's actually from the islands. He's from Puerto Rico, and he actually manages a ranch down there, Jose's Hacienda Villeta.
Here the player is using his scoped weapon to good advantage, taking out those guys. If you aim a little bit high, you can kind of lob, like Harry did. He lobbed it right into the tower.
I missed him though.
And there we go. That looks like a hit.
Yeah, you got him. I love those red trails they put in. Red trails, green trails, and different colored trails for the different types of grenades.
I'm really happy with the scopes and stuff that we got to put on these weapons, by the way.
There's another autogun. Those things are... There we go. I like this inventory select. You can kind of pause the action as well if it's getting too hot in the battle for you.
It's interesting, a lot of games when you hit select or pause, they actually don't give you too many options. I mean, some games just print pause and that's it. That's all you got. You want to change an option, you got to go back to the beginning of the game and quit out and save. And who wants to do that? I mean, we want to keep the player engaged, so we try to make as many options and variables basically as accessible to the player as we can, and people have responded well to that.
Yeah, one of the things in this level is, you're basically fighting these narco-terrorists who are funneling weapons and narcotics, selling narcotics and using money to buy weapons and funnel weapons to Al-Qaeda, which was actually fictional until we realized that there was a story that had come out about a Stinger missile shipment that I believe was going between the drug cartels in South America and Al-Qaeda cells somewhere in Europe.
Yeah, so once again, unfortunately, our kind of rearranging of current events in a fictitious manner has actually come out to play back in a very real way, which is interesting, but unfortunately, it's unfortunate, basically.
There's a flash stun grenade. We use the secondary to stun the guy and then just blow him away. Bang, there he is. This Hacienda is actually one of the first levels we built. There's a continue. He's got 19 continues right now. I like the continues because you can keep playing, and if you run out of continues, then the game's over. I really don't like to play games where I have to play, I play all the way through the first or second level. I finally get to level 3 or level 4, and as soon as I get hit, and die, I have to go back to the beginning. So
many people forget that, these are CD and DVD media games, and if you're designing an arcade game, it's a different story. But if you're designing on a CD or DVD medium, you have to take the load times into account, and you have to really value the player's immersive experience and not having them to kick back out to the beginning. That's one thing I actually hate about some of these other games that are really highly rated, but the fun factor is lower.
There we go with the homing grenades again. I mean, that's just like death from above. I mean, you can fire them out like that, or you can paint your targets, and then the homing grenade will actually chase the last painted target. So you just put your target reticule on, it turns red, and the homing missile will home in on that last target.
Yeah, there's a lot of subtleties with the weapons that people don't really realize, but they'll learn as they play the game. In this level, we're chasing down Benassi, who's one of the cell planners for the terrorist organization.
It's kind of funny too, the fact that you're shooting French guys. They're in these different levels, like the jungle levels you just saw, and the French levels, we recorded actual French. So we would write the lines in English and have French people translate them, and then have actors come in and read those lines. This level is more of a chase, which is kind of cool. The first kind of chase was a little bit of Charles Marcus. You kind of see him run out in the beginning, but in this level, you're actually chasing him across a couple of different maps. That's the jump right there to
I love those quick
level
cuts.
2.
Yeah, I love those quick cuts where you don't have to wait around, just a quick cut, and then you're into the next area.
We tried to capture the feel of Europe in this level, and actually sent Manuela de Sousa out to her hometown of France, and she shot a lot of stuff out there for us. I actually went out to Paris and shot a lot of stuff myself. But we had this idea of the terrorist cells being in Europe, in Paris, and then, once you get those guys, then that leads you to Afghanistan-Pakistan border. So a lot of these animations you're seeing are all different per level, so I didn't want to make one of these games where you just see the same death animation in each level. I wanted to make something where it's really visceral, and every time you enter a new level, there's 5 or 6 new shotgun deaths you see, or 5 or 6 new sniper deaths you see.
Yeah, people have responded really well to the variation. This level is really cool. This is one of my favorite levels in the Paris.
We tried to send Manuela into the catacombs, and she went in, she got in, but there wasn't too far as she could go without these underground escorts that take you in. But a lot of people in Europe go on vacation during the summer, so she was out there during the summer. There's Deep, our friend Deep. He actually made a movie called American Desi. Deep was a political science major at MIT with us, and turned out to wind up going into acting and producing. So we asked him if he wanted to play a terrorist, and he said, yeah, sure. People think he's a terrorist all the time. He happens to be Indian in descent, like, Bombay, Calcutta, that kind of Indian, but there's the bioweapon spores. Again, this is something we had in the game, and before the whole Gulf War II, before the whole weapons of mass destruction thing came up, we had weapons of mass destruction in our game as one of the objectives.
In this level, the player's tracking down Hostanek Drobek. He's wanted for financing the terror organizations, and he's got an army of henchmen that are not going to be too easy to get through, as you can see.
I love these long, tall ceilings. It kind of captures the feeling of being down there. We did look in a lot of books, and where Manuela couldn't get into the catacombs, we did kind of do a lot of research online and other ways that instead of shooting, we like to shoot all of our location stuff, all our texture reference ourselves, but we really tried to emulate that.
Yeah, and we made it to, it's close to the original scale, but we wanted to scale it up for gameplay, not realism, and so I think we've done a good job capturing the look, but while still retaining enough room to maneuver.
So this is, that helicopter pilot actually is the voice of Jake Cotton, our lead artist on this project. We picked him because he had a really good, deep voice, and he was available. So there's some nice blood splat on the screen. I like this level. It's the terror camp is something that, those images on CNN and the news that you see all the time of the Al-Qaeda terrorists, some of the footage is actually licensed for this game as well, but, those images just were etched in our minds as well, so we
I mean, this is where those guys train. This is where they train to be terrorists. And what better place to send the player than to mop up the terrorist schools and training grounds?
I tell you, we've been developing this game for quite a while, a couple of years actually, and every time I bring it back home to New York, and some of my friends that actually were in downtown saw everything and had to escape and all of that. I mean, obviously we weren't there, but my friends that were there play this game, and they're just like, they love it. There's something cathartic about shooting terrorists. There's something just really satisfying about that, and I've spent many hours doing it.
That was cool. He sniped through the little peephole, and he took out that turret gun. That's this guy's been playing the game for a while.
Yeah, those little things like that we set up so that a gamer that kind of just doesn't blow through the game but kind of looks for different vantage points and hiding spots can actually take advantage. There he just picked up the American flag invincibility. I love that icon. It's just we had a variety of different invincibilities with different screen effects. I mean, some of them looked like you were tripping on acid or something, but we finally wound up with this one. It's a little more toned down.
It fits the theme of the game, which is kind of a patriotic, justice theme.
Yeah, so here he's disabling, what are these, T-72 tanks, Russian-made?
Yep.
Killing those guys up in the
I love that grad on the background. This background's really nice. It makes such great use of the colors, and the PlayStation 2 is just great for this.
So here we go. Here we're hunting after Public Enemy #1. This is Insta Boogie from Arc 21. Great track. We licensed.
Here the player is sniping from across the switchback and taking out one of the RPG launching Al-Qaeda terrorists.
There's a guy in patrol, so you can play this level with the silencer. We actually drop that back right behind where you start in this level, so you can turn around when you start on this level and pick up the silencer. Now there's guys up in the caves. We really wanted to embody this or capture this feeling of cave fighting, and you're working your way up the switchback in the Khyber Pass in Afghanistan. You're actually back in this is the last level of the game, second to last level of the game, but you're revisiting that first level, kind of coming full circle, if you will, with the guys that shot your helicopter down in the beginning of the game.
One of my favorite things about this level is that you use the weapons of the Al-Qaeda and of the Taliban against them, the AK-47s, the AKs,
the RPGs.
The RPGs.
RPG!
It's great to pick up their weapons and use it against them, and many of the other weapons were issued by Cypher and such, but this is one of my favorite levels in terms of the weapon progression.
Oh, that guy just caught on fire. That guy just got blown in the air. There's some more TV-guided grenade. That's actually really useful for flying across chasms or around shallow corners, things like that.
This level is cool also because it's got the inside and the outside. You got the inner caves, you go around in the caves, and then you can also go outside on the mountain, switch back, and it's just that feeling of going in and out I think is really great, and something that we designed our engine technology for.
I love the blood splatter. It's so we've got more TV-guided grenades.
There was a poster back there of Bin Laden on the wall.
Yeah, a couple posters. I love just whaling those posters with bullets. Here we're shooting homing missiles to kind of help out with the frenzy. We wanted to build these levels so that they're so frenzied. Guys are just coming at you left and right. Like imagine if you were over there and you were by yourself and you got stuck in a firefight, you'd be kind of hosed. So you need to be like the all-powerful Jake Seaver to get out of it. But it's just a lot of fun to be wailing on these guys left and right and seeing them die. That's our patronage that we paid to the fuel air bomb. We wanted to make kind of a portable fuel air bomb for cave cleaning, so you could just launch it into a cave and anything within a 20-foot radius would just incinerate.
That's right, and it was cool because each of the weapons have a primary and a secondary attack, so we were able to kind of combine the flamethrower with that and make it a unique weapon.
So here, these caves have actually been dug out. So when you first visit this level in 1999 in the game, the first level, there's been very little work done on the caves. But because Bin Laden's businesses have been construction, they've obviously dug out more caves, and this is the last level here where you're going down into the inner caves, which is really more kind of fortified. And I love how those homing missiles hook corners. I mean, it's such a cool thing when you get a game environment up and running and you implement different weapons and you just like let things happen within the world. That's one of the lures of gaming. That, and obviously online multiplayer.
But that's just something I love watching, those homing missiles just launch out and then hook around the corner and knock out a terrorist.
A lot of people ask me about multiplayer and Fugitive Hunter, and we're planning that for Fugitive Hunter 2, online play and possible co-op.
Gotta watch out for those grenade throws. This guy's throw a lot of grenades. Here we're trying to take out a turret with a sniper rifle, which can be done in the game, but it takes a lot of shots and wastes your ammo. Here comes somebody running at you. Oh, there he goes.
But I love that stomach clutch. That's a great animation.
Yeah, we shot a lot of, like I said, wire stuff with the Smash Cut team.
We tried to, you saw the player running over those power-ups early. We tried to place those small health power-ups in a way that would kind of catch the player's eye or lead him to other areas. So it's one of the little nuances of the design.
This is one area that we actually couldn't really location scout. We didn't go to Afghanistan. We actually considered going out there, and that was August of 2001.
Before 9/11, yeah. It was actually, we were actually considering shooting in Afghanistan, but that became a
somewhere in the Middle East to get the feel of it. But we wound up doing research and books and online instead. And we actually did photograph other caves, some out here in California, some down in Puerto Rico, but we never made it to Afghanistan.
In fact, I think that was the only level, right, John, that we didn't actually shoot and get the...
Yeah, that was the only world we didn't actually travel to. Like Utah, we went to the Caribbean, the inner cities.
Here Jake finds Linda.
This is another example. We had a
POW in the game.
American POW. She happened to be female. It was kind of sort of the princess, if you will, as other games use rescue the princess kind of concept. But
she's been in the game since 2000, I think.
Yeah, there's the final fight.
There he is, Osama.
1,000 more will rise. We were like, well, what would he say if Jake Seaver met him? And Jake's, he's Irish-Italian from New York, so he's going to be like, I'm going to kick your ass,
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Everyone gets a kick out of this, and it's fun to beat up on Bin Laden, and I think a lot of people will get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, Bin Laden's actually been practicing martial arts, as you can see. But we wanted to be able to wail on him and just beat the hell out of him.
In real life, I think he walks with a cane, and he's supposedly hooked up to a kidney machine or something, so he might not actually make, in real life, a formidable opponent, but he'll go toe-to-toe with Jake in our game. Here he's getting walked out now into the final extraction area. This is one of the favorite scenes in the game.
In real life, he'd probably be a martyr, but we wanted to, bring him in. There it is, a little side kick and
this is the best.
Knee kick to the face.
3.
And a triple cut with that slow-mo, kind of like a speed ramp, if you will. But there it is. There's the end of the game. So thanks a lot for listening. This is John and Will Body signing off for Fugitive Hunter. It's right now it's August 5th, 2003.
Enjoy the game.
Take care.
You know, it's interesting. Back in 1998, when I started really digging back into the design and going on FBI.gov on the website to see what kind of fugitives were out there and what kind of prices were on their heads, back then Bin Laden was the most wanted fugitive in the world. This is shortly after the embassy bombings in Tanzania and East Africa. At the time, I remember printing out the indictment for Bin Laden, and it was about this thick. I basically read all about this Al-Qaeda, the base or whatever, and you know, I didn't really know what it was all about until I started doing the research for this game. Time would go by and I'd see things like, you know, discover different things, like they tried to fly a plane into the Eiffel Tower in 1995, but the terrorists didn't know how to fly planes. You know, 96, the bombings in Iran, 98, the dual simultaneous bombings in East Africa of the United States embassies. And then in 1999, you had the Cole, you had in 2000 the guy trying to sneak the bomb material across the Canadian border to blow up LAX. They had already bombed the World Trade Center in 1993. So when I saw planes flying into buildings, I realized that they were finishing the job. You know, we give a lot of thought to actually, I don't know, maybe canceling the game because we were hunting fugitives. It wasn't a terrorist hunting game. In other words, you hunt fugitives that are wanted for 10 grand or 15 grand. And you know, you go all the way up. A RICO guy, a Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act, a mob guy, for example, is wanted for maybe $250,000. A guy that bombs a health clinic is wanted for maybe $1 million. So, you know, we had actually considered, because we're from New York, we actually had a section in the game in Exchange Place, New Jersey, with the Twin Towers in the background. We'd actually gone out in February of 2001 and shot the towers specifically for Fugitive Hunter. We kind of just paused for a couple of weeks and just didn't, you know, we didn't know what to do. And what we wound up doing is really what President Bush said, is just carry on with your lives. Continue. Do not let these people interfere with our liberty. And so we basically took out the Exchange Place in New York levels for respect, obviously, and we continued with our game. So if you want to go and kick the crap out of the Al-Qaeda guys, if you want to burn them, if you want to blow them up, if you want to smoke them out of their holes and caves in Afghanistan, then go ahead and play Fugitive Hunter. It'll be out soon, and I hope you enjoy it. It's definitely been an experience.